I ignored male business advice to hustle, grind, and chase clients, and created a thriving business using my feminine energy while living a soft life. Hi lovelies, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking about how I created a feminine business that attracts money. I'm going to be sharing my top tips of how to create a thriving business in a soft way without hustling like a man, but still maintaining your feminine essence, because it can be done. There are just a few things that you have to think about. The first way to create a feminine business is to become the source of income. The Bible says, "You yourselves are our own recommendation, written on all our hearts, to one known and read by all." I used to always want to show my expertise that my coaching was evidence-based because I have a clinical background. People would consume my content, sign up to my email list, and show up for the free workshops, but they would never invest into any coaching, because even though my expertise gave me credibility, it didn't give me relatability. The moment I stopped hiding behind my knowledge and expert identity and shared my life experience, what I had gone through, what I had overcome, and how I had overcome it, people started to see themselves in my story, to relate to parts of my story, and actually see how I had reinvented myself, how I had transformed my life, which made them believe that not only could they do it, but they trusted that I could provide them that transformation. I could provide them that change, that reinvention. My breakthrough, my testimony was my unique selling point, and I became the source of income. I started attracting instead of chasing clients who saw the value in what I could offer them and who were willing to invest in themselves. A lot of women look outside of themselves when it comes to starting a business or making money. Or that's what working for that person, I'm going to do that. Or that's what you're supposed to do in order to be successful, that's what I'll do. But people aren't just buying the product or the service. They're buying from the person, their story, their experience, their values, their beliefs. Sharing your story is a way of showing others how God has worked in your life, because people buy from people they like, know, and trust. So regardless of whether you're selling a product or service, you need to become the source of income by looking inwards, by sharing your story, sharing your breakthrough and testimony. The next way I started a feminine business was using my copy and paste method. When I first started my business, I was doing a lot of repetition, doing the same thing over and over again, like sending emails, newsletters, editing, etc., etc. I was spending a lot more time doing the behind the scenes work that no one gets to see, but is just as important. Instead of doing what I actually enjoyed doing, what was my purpose, like actually speaking to clients, mentoring them, guiding them, coaching them, I was running around like a headless chicken, feeling burnt out and overwhelmed, thinking this business thing really isn't for me, because there was just too much of the work that I actually didn't enjoy, until I came across something that I like to call the copy and paste method, where I only have to do the work once and the rest of the work is done on automation. One of the ways I did that was through email marketing, and I would like to thank Omnisend for sponsoring this part of the video. When I'm launching a new product or service, I create a customer journey, starting from attracting clients using a workshop, for example, where after signing up for the workshop, they'll receive a sequence of curated emails before the workshop and also after the workshop, where I would have launched the product or service. I receive up to 1,000 sign-ups for workshops sometimes. So instead of sending thousands and thousands of emails, setting up an automation means that everyone who signs up for the workshop goes through the same customer journey, which means I only set it up once and the rest of the work is done for me. Omnisend is the ultimate email and SMS marketing platform for e-commerce brands. As a woman who values simplicity and convenience, I appreciate that Omnisend is a high quality tool that's powerful yet intuitive to navigate. Omnisend is up to 60% cheaper for similar features, because marketing should not have a luxury price tag, especially for us small businesses. I also love how they've done the heavy lifting because of how sophisticated the tool is. So all I have to do is focus on the business and not the tech. Try Omnisend today using my promo code LoriLux. Use the link in my description or scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you again to Omnisend for sponsoring this part of the video. There are other aspects of my copy and paste method methods that allow me to have a feminine business, like scheduling, templates. If you'd like me to go into more detail, let me know in the comments and I'll create a separate video for you. The next way I created a feminine business was by creating a business that emulated the lifestyle that I wanted to have. When I looked at the successful business moguls in the coaching industry, like Tony Robbins or Dean Graciosi, although I admired their success, I did not admire what they did in order for them to have that success. I did not dream of labor. I did not want to be a boss babe or a CEO mogul to be in charge of thousands and thousands of people. I was motivated by freedom, not just financial freedom, but freedom of time, freedom of not having to work on the first few days of my menstrual cycle, not having to work during summer, not having to work when I was not well, and not having to work when I didn't feel like it. So I created a crystal clear vision of what I wanted my life to look like, not just the tangible things of what I wanted to have, like the house, the car, and all those things, but what I will be doing on a day-to-day basis, what my morning routine would look like, what I would do during the day, and what my evening routine would look like. And for me, waking up at 5 a.m, heading into the office, chairing multiple meetings, constantly responding to emails was not in my vision. What was in my vision was having a fluid morning routine, breaking my day between work, doing something creative, and doing something social. When it came to work specifically, having a flexible work schedule, being able to work from anywhere, whether in my house, whether in a hotel, at a cafe, or even in a different country. Being a present mom, being available to take my daughter to school, take her to activities, pouring into her, having time for myself, pouring into myself, treating myself, self-care, having time for my husband, future husband, and just being able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So I created a business that mirrored that vision, where I don't feel exhausted, where I don't feel overwhelmed, where I don't feel burnt out, but I feel fulfilled, I feel at peace, I feel happy, and I'm living a life that I don't need a vacation from. The next way I created a feminine business was to lean into my pretty privilege. Esther used her beauty to influence the king to revoke the order to execute the Jews. I used to feel guilty for my beauty, and I would lean into my other qualities like my humor, intelligence, to show that I was so much more than what I look like. When it came to my social media, I wouldn't even put myself on my thumbnails, and I would lead with my expertise without putting any thought or effort into how I presented myself. But the moment I started leaning into my beauty, putting myself on my thumbnails, showcasing my style, that's the moment my platform started to grow and I started attracting high-paying clients. I became the brand, because the way that you look as a part of your brand creates a story of how people see you, perceive you, and treat you. Beautiful women always seem to have it easier. That's why it's called pretty privilege. That's because the world is biased when it comes to beauty. There is positive association when it comes to beauty called the halo effect, where people assume that you know what you're doing, that you're organized, you're put together. And this applies in business, but it's just called branding. How do people see you? How do people see your business? What do people say about you and your business when you're not around? How do you and your business make people feel? As women, we have female privilege because of our gender, and we also have beauty privilege, and it would be amiss of us to not lean into them, especially when it comes to business. You could have an amazing product or service, but if the packaging is not right, people will never know, because they would never buy from you. Your looks matter, and they can open doors to big opportunities. The next way I created a feminine business was by walking in my servitude. The Proverbs 31 woman was multifaceted. She was a wife, she was a mother, and she also had her business, but she was fulfilled. I realized that as women, we're actually at an advantage when it comes to business because of our feminine principles of nurturing and being maternal. We naturally pour into people, whether it's our families, our friends, or even at work, because as women, we are built to serve, which is the same principles of business. Business is not about you and your needs and wanting to make money. The secret to a thriving business is what your clients want, what your customers want. If you understand what their problems are, if you understand what their challenges are, if you understand what keeps them up at night, then you can provide them with the solution. I'm always saying, don't be the problem, be the solution. solution. A lot of people are problem aware. They know what they don't have and they know what they want. They just don't know what they have to do to attain it. Someone with a business mindset and a feminine mindset creates the solution and they serve. So when I finally understood who I was helping, I was able to speak to them directly, show them and communicate the transformation that I could provide them. I wasn't looking at my business from my own eyes, but I started looking at it from my client's eyes. The next way I created a feminine business was through soft productivity. Have you ever noticed how most productivity books are written by men? Atomic Habits, The 12-Week Year, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's because society is built on a masculine structure of doing, of hustling, which means most productivity tips are in the form of a male handbook. And that's where I'd find myself in cycles of toxic productivity. I would be hustling, grinding, working hard, and then I'll burn out and do nothing for long periods of time. And my business will be in the same place year after year, not growing and not making any money. Until I started following a female handbook using a feminine system that I created. The workflow that has intentions, commitment, 3-in-1 method, aligned action, and indulge. I don't set goals, I set intentions. I used to say, this is the year that I'm going to be making this amount a month, that I'm going to be working with this amount of people a month, that I have this many subscribers on my channel. And year after year, I wouldn't reach those goals. People overestimate what they can do in a year and they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. I stopped putting a timeline on my success because I knew that my business was going to thrive. The when was none of my business. The how was none of my business, because the Bible says, for I have plans for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. So all I had to do was take the aligned action and reflect every so often. Reflect on how my business was doing overall, the performance of a specific launch, my monthly revenue. And if I wasn't getting the result, if something wasn't working, implementing new methods of doing things and not being married to one specific way of doing things, because the how is none of my business. As long as my business was thriving, I created a commitment of sustainable routines. How many clients could I work with in a month? How many launches I was going to have in a year? How many one-to-one or group services I was going to offer? How many YouTube videos I uploaded in a month? Broke up my day into 3 parts: work, creative, and social. Allocating a specific amount of hours to work, whether it's business related, goals related, so I could have time to tap into my creativity, like trying a new recipe, and also time for social, whether I want to catch up on a TV program, whether I want to speak to a friend, whether I actually want to go out and do something. I became intentional about focusing on aligned action instead of busy tasks. A lot of the time we spend time in planning university, of researching, thinking about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, making sure that's absolutely perfect, instead of graduating and actually taking the aligned action. So I'm constantly reflecting on whether I'm busy doing things that's actually going to take me where I want to go, or I'm busy doing things that's keeping me stuck. And then finally, indulging. The Bible says, and then God rested on the 7th day from all his work which he had created. I used to think that the only way to be successful was to work hard, was to overexert myself. But that's not aligned with the lifestyle that I want. When I started operating in my feminine essence, using soft productivity and feminine systems, that's when I became devoted to my business. That's when I became more productive and started seeing positive results and changes in my business. Sometimes you find women having physical or mental health issues because they're hustling like a man. Men have 24-hour cycles, which means they can easily reset and recalibrate, whereas women, we have 28-day cycles, which means it takes us longer for us to reset and recalibrate. There's going to be times in the month where we shouldn't be working as hard or at all, where we should be resting, where we should be pouring into ourselves, because our bodies and minds cannot physically tolerate that hard work. We have to be guided by our bodies. We have to honor our body in order for us to create sustainable consistency. Resting is not a luxury, it's a necessity. The message here is you don't have to hustle or grind in order for you to have a thriving business. You can still attract money by resting in your feminine energy and living a soft life. Like this video if you want to see more videos on femininity and abundance. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time that I upload a video. I will see you in the next video. Bye, lovelies.